First play of the game. Screen by Gallinari. The Rockets' game plan was to trap Trae Young throughout the game, and it did not go well. They were ready for that. Yeah, Horder coming off the screen. Missed the shot, but it gets worse for us. As we saw in the Şengün video, one thing I like about Alp, he's a great screener. Capella there is playing the drop on these screens, and what a drop is a coverage that most bigs in the NBA run that allows them to be able to play the screener and the ball handler in defense. And the reason you play the drop is that if Garrison is coming off that screen right there really, really hard, you want to give Trae Young enough time to come back around Alperen so he can either get in front of the ball handler or have an inside contest where he can try to deter his shot, right? But one rule, though, and this is really up to the team and the coach, is that when you play the drop and the screener is screening for a shooter, you're going to get results that look like this. And also Trae Young went under. That's kind of lazy defense there, but the screen by Alp is a big body. You go under that, that's going to be a bucket most of the time. And yeah, we're going to see a lot of this. I think Garrison had a really good game. One thing you want to see here, Alp is going to be setting there a pick for him. And you got Capella still in his drop principles. And when you're running a screen along the sidelines there, going towards the baseline, and the big is in a drop, it really kind of creates the same scenario we spoke of earlier with Alp screening for Garrison Matthews, because there's really no help over there except the sidelines. And Capella in the drop, and this is going to be a shot that is pretty much going to be there. Herder does a great job of actually fighting over the screen to give somewhat of a contest, but I think Jalen has that shot all game. A lot of times he hesitates. He just got to read that a little quicker. But that screen being there to that empty corner is always going to be there. And we've seen them hit those shots before. So you have KPJ here being guarded by Hunter. Goes into a pick and roll. So remember from what we said earlier, whenever you have the roller, which is Şengün, the wing player or the player closest to them, where the roll is occurring is going to be the tagger. So Gallo is our tagger, so he's the tag. So that's your tag guy. What Tate has to do once he sees this occurring, he has to shake up here. Right, that's the shake. So once that shake occurs, it helps with the spacing, and then you could also have a shake up here because in the typical pick and roll, making these passes to these corners, there's a lot of bodies and hands in the way. It just gives the ball handler a clearer view to pass the ball out to, right? So those are what is supposed to happen. So let's see what happens. So you notice there, yeah, none of that happened. So let's see what actually went wrong there. Okay, you get the tag from Gallo. The initial read for Kevin Porter should be the first read. Well, his main reads in the pick and roll are going to be either he can score if he sees the angle, or the roller is a lob if he gets behind the big. Now, Capella's doing a great job keeping KPJ and Şengün in front of him. And so those shots are essentially taken away. The tagger did a great job in keeping Şengün from having a free roll to the basket. But look what's happening here. You can see Garrison Matthews literally pointing at Tate. You can see him here in the corner pointing at Tate because that's the read. Okay, you have three defenders here. The spacing isn't great. Herder is guarding Jalen, so there's nothing there. The read that the pick and roll, based on its concept, is given them is to give it to Tate. So this is where I need the growth from our backcourt, and especially for Kevin Porter playing that point guard role. These got to be automatic reads. Yeah, that pass was there. You see Garrison pointing. This is why Jalen's special. Despite the terrible spacing in this lineup that he's going against, despite the amount of bodies in the paint, I call this just God-given ability. Right? Rejects the screen, cuts back across the face of the big guarding him, attacks him, gets into his body, drops it in the bucket. You know who that reminds me of? Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook, when he was in his full prime, a lot of teams used to play the drop on him, and because of the just pure athleticism and the speed and the power, he would eat that space up, and even before the big could backpedal, he was already at the rim. That's special, man. That is special, special, special athleticism right there. Okay, here, so close of the second quarter. One thing I like about Jalen, he has a very quick processing method, able to pick up stuff in real time. I'm trying to fill out, you get a screen there, they go into a pick and roll. Capella is an aggressive drop. And once again, the drop coverage is an aggressive drop isn't necessarily a trap. It can be mistaken for a trap, but he doesn't actually come up to the level of the ball handler. He's going to stay right behind the level of the screener. So out where he's going to still keep Alp in front of him. And you can only do an aggressive drop with really good athletes at center, because not only does he have to have the backpedal speed to be able to cover the ball handler being that close to them, they also have to be able to keep that big at bay in front of them. Look at what Alp does. I think I pointed this out in this other video, just little veteran stuff. He sets a screen there, but you see how he pretends he's running but hooks his arm around Herder? That's a veteran move. Delays his ability to get around it. Just little things that you can do. He just acts like he's trying to run, but he's kind of mucking up that whole transition. And Capella doesn't know what Jalen wants to do right now. And right into rhythm. Look how Jalen's feet are set. Şengün has buried Herder into the free throw line. Capella is still in his drop, trying to keep Şengün honest. Right there. Man, in the next few years, that's going to be scary. Okay, that's a real high screen. Usually high screens are good for attacking, going downhill. And then you're screening with a shooter there, so the pop potential is there. Obviously, Gallinari is not a road threat, but let's see. I'll let you guys guess who's going to be the tagger here. Yes, you're correct if you said Garrison Matthews is going to be the person tagged. Now, if Gallinari pops on the three-point line, Garrison's responsibility is to also stunt, and the stunt is simply similar concept to a tagging, but he just has to show that he is there to contest. He doesn't necessarily have to fully rotate there, unless it's something that's been killing the team. Some teams can pre-rotate it, but Garrison could stunt over to where Gallinari would be. So he does pop out, and you see how Şengün plays the drop, allows his defender, Kevin Porter Jr., to be able to get back into guarding position and then recovers. That's perfect. That's how you're supposed to do it. That's a drop right there. So they rescreen on the opposite end to attack Şengün again in a drop. Şengün's job is to allow Kevin Porter the ability to recover before he can get back to his guarding position on Gallinari. And Jalen Green's job here, since the screen is going towards Green, Jalen's job is to go ahead, and it looks like it's going to be a pop out by Gallinari instead of a roll. So if Gallinari pops, instead of tagging him on the roll, Jalen is going to have to stunt to show. And Jalen, that was good. That was good, actually. Let's see that again. Just by getting in Gallinari's field of vision makes him hesitate. And that little hesitation allows Şengün to recover. See, defense has the concepts mean something. And then Şengün is in guarding position and Gallo busts one in his eye. Pause. But yeah, that's there's nothing you can do about that. You just got to get up on that. Okay. I don't like the two-man action with Tate and Jalen. I just don't feel it poses a real advantage. I think the defense knows it. Plus, you're also having a non-shooter, even worse non-shooter than Tate, as being able to camp out and just clog up the middle of the court. So I would rather see Şengün and Jalen run that action so that Tate, even though he's not the greatest shooter in the world, he's the better shooter than Şengün. And Tate definitely is not a rim threat. Okay, so you see Jalen attacks this pick and roll going downhill full speed. There's a lot of space here. And normally, let's pretend Jabari's at the 5 and that's him standing right there. That tag that Capella's doing, because remember the tagger is always the guy that covers the roll man, that'll leave an open shot there. But look at how he eats up this space. And every time they see Gallinari, that should be just a welcome sign to go to the basket. You just got to finish better, finish over the top more aggressively. That's where the weight room comes in the summer. That's your center, man. Just got to put a body and get a rebound. Man, what a nice block. Here's why Trae Young is elite. The pick and roll action. The Şengün showing there. That's a hard show. So it's not really a full trap. So he's going to show, stun at the ball, maybe try to get the deflection, but he has to recover back to his man. You're going to see him backpedal to do so. Now, Trae Young notices this and still attacks before Şengün could get to his man. And look at this pass. My God, look at this. He read that the whole time. That's beautiful. God-given. Gallinari turns his head for a second and Jalen's already at the basket. Can't teach that, man. That's just God-given. Once he gets the other stuff, watch out. How KBJ splits that. Gets it to the paint. Same thing, God-given. When these guys can learn how to read the court, man, it's over. This is similar to kind of what I was talking about earlier with when you're getting a screen. The only difference is Şengün is right in his grill. But what I meant for Jalen off these screens in the corners is that once you get to your spot, you got to just go for it before your defender gets back. You see how, even though, he got Şengün just, I don't know what happened there, but if that was an empty corner, you just got to go for your shot. You got to hit that. That's a pro shot. That has to be in the bag. It has to be automatic, whether it's a midi or a 3. Here's where Jalen is dangerous and has to be dangerous with his explosiveness. He reminds me of a mixture of Russell Westbrook and a great shooter. And your imagination go wherever you want with that. But if you guys remember when Russ played in Houston, and the thing was his job was to take the rebound and go and just put pressure on the rim. Jalen, that's what I want to see from Jalen. Because his speed, he's got to be one of the fastest guys in the NBA. Gets a great screen. Look at Şengün, man. Christian Wood was not doing that. And now it's just one-on-one with a big. And he gives him a handles between the leg and the paint on the low dribble, then the little scoop butter into the rim. That is beautiful basketball. The growth. LP does his thing, comes up for the pick and roll. See their nice wide base on the screen. It's really hard for the defender to fight around that. Now he might get called for kicking that leg out a little bit, but man, he's such a great screener, man. Capella is in a medium drop. You see he keeps his hands out there to take away any skip passes. That's just good IQ by Capella. Teach that big man to keep that inside hand there. I'd like to see Jalen just attack more, because what he needs to learn is that these isolations that he's drawing out, it's much easier when he can read the court, because there's concepts. Like the fact that Hunter has to respect Şengün's role. Because if Jalen rolls, Şengün's going to roll. That tag from Hunter is going to have to come on Şengün's roll, because Capella's slightly out of position. And then you have one of the best spot-up shooters there in the NBA standing right there. So, but he goes into this and, he's a great isolation player, but that's not what we want. End up with that. See, these are things that we can improve on next season. Just getting in the lab, watching film, getting stronger, getting smarter. Okay, we get a treat here, Jalen and Garuba pick and roll. Let's see how that goes. Once again, Okongwu's playing the drop. Now his footwork is bad here. If Garuba really wanted to, he would just barrel straight to the paint, because Okongwu was already giving away his leverage by not being kind of wide-based with his hands out like Capella was. And it's up to Jalen to see if he finds that. That pass is there. He can swing that right in front of Garuba, right. It's just a tad late. Attempted screen by Garuba. Jalen coming around the corner here. The spacing here is just all trash. Garuba pops out. Okongwu is not concerned at all with Garuba because he's not a shooter. And then look at this paint. There are literally 4 people in the paint right now. How he got 41 points in this game, I have no idea. Literally, it was 4 people in the paint. That's malpractice. Okay, the game is well out of hand now. Starters are back in, but still a lot of good learning that can be done, even in the blowout. I was never one to say that players shouldn't play in a blowout, because you can practice things like your pick and roll, right? And you can tell by the end of the game that Jalen really picked up a lot, and he's just processing things in real time. So you get a screen here. I love how Hunter plays this. That's aggressive. And Okongwu's in a drop. You can see, I don't know who Zero is, but he's going to tag. And that's why he's stepping in there to tag. And what KPJ needs to do is rise a little bit or shake up towards where the pick and roll just occurred from. Jalen gets into the paint. And another thing that our guys need to learn, and we'll run this back because I feel it's important to say. When you're running a pick and roll, there are times where you have to let your big release from that screen and get parallel with you, because that's part of the design of the play, to put that pressure on that defensive big trying to guard 2 of you. So Jalen goes downhill and just makes a play. Second time he's done that. Little Euro step. That's just God-given. Gonna get a screen into an empty corner again. makes a quick, decisive move, gets to the basket. That's how it has to be. No hesitation. All around a game, a good game. I'm not even looking at the score. What I'm looking at is the incremental growth. Jalen goes on to have, I think, 41 or 42 points in this game. Most of the last few points were in garbage time, but from the first quarter onward, you can see just the processing in his mind and being able to read. That's why it's so important for these young kids to get these runs in real time on the court against NBA players, whether it's garbage time or regular time. It's important because it allows him to be able to process the different looks, the different pace, the speed, and just the cadences he needs to be able to take his game to the next level. What I expect from him this summer is getting that film room, getting that weight room, and just continue his development. But I think the year that he had was really promising, along with the rest of our young guys.